Hey guys, Indiana Smith here. Well, school is back in session. I'm on my second week of in-service training and working on a little home improvement project here. I've been busier than a one-armed man with a bad case of poison ivy, and plus it's 100 degrees outside. The riverbed is dried up, picked over, and grown up with weeds. I don't know when I'm going to get to the river again, but I do want to give you guys some new content to look at. So I'm going to share one of my all-time favorite frames of artifacts with you. This is a frame that I bring to every single show. It's got some of my best artifacts in it, and you're going to get to see them up close and personal. So tune in. So this is one of my best known frames, and I'm sorry, I've got a little cat over here who really wants me to feed him, so I'm going to take care of him in just a minute. But if you ever go to any of the artifact shows, you'll always see this frame on my table. This is one of the first wood frames I ever put together, and these are all artifacts from the North Sulphur River Basin. So let's start with this guy. Okay, this is Big Pink. It's a Calf Creek point made out of Frisco chert from Oklahoma. I found him in the spring of 2000 in one of the tributaries of the North Sulphur River. Now, I did have this barb right here restored. It was broken just below the shoulder. Everything else is complete. You can see a little bit of creek rolling on it, but that's one of my all-time favorite artifacts. I love this point. This one next to it is a Cache River point that came out of the same creek. Matter of fact, no, not Cache River, Big Sandy Point came out of the same creek. If you have the Hester and Turner Field Guide to Stone Artifacts of Texas Indians, kind of the large red-covered edition, this point is illustrated in there. And Ellen Sue Turner told me this was the largest and best example of a Big Sandy that they had seen as they were putting that book together. Now here's another little calf creek from the North Sulphur River. And I kind of crudely restored that one wing myself, but you can see one barb perfect. I found this in the river way back in the 90s. Like I said, this is a frame of some of my older finds. Here is a beautiful slick Gary that I found years ago, all the way down by the Highway 24 bridge. I hardly ever go to that part of the river anymore. Another nice, this is kind of a typical North Sulphur Gary. Over here in the corner, you see I got a little corner notch point. I got a really pretty Navaculite Yarborough. And this striped guy, he came out of one of the feeder creeks. No, he actually came out of the main river channel. Came out near where the fossil park is now. But look at the colors in that petrified wood. Isn't that just gorgeous? And then over on this side, here's another large serrated Gary. Here's a real pretty point. Now, I found this just above where the dam is being built this year, near where Merrill Creek flows in, an area that's already underwater that will never be hunted again. I found that back in the early 90s with my friend George Wolf. These two large Gary points were found nearby. Now this one, that's a really nice barbed, and I guess, I want to say Yarborough, but they're normally not barbed, but that's a really nice upper end of the North Sulphur River. This came out of one of the tributaries on the upper end, another area that's about to go underwater for good. And then you see, now here's a really pretty Marshall. This came near where the mouth of Davis Creek flows in, another area that's about to go under the new lake. You see it's got a little bit of a tip nick, but I love the colors on this guy. This is kind of an interesting little piebald Gary here. This is about as pretty a Yarborough point as you ever see. This is a classic example, large, well-made, symmetrical. Yarboroughs are one of our prettier North Texas types, and that is just a gem. This one came out of a tributary of the North Sulphur that I found a ton of points in. I used to call it Bobcat Creek. Had a lot of paleo in it. It's another area that's about to go into the lake for good. I found this like 1987, 88. It was, well, no, I guess, no, 89. 89. That was when I found that one. I remember now. But love the unique material. And I never found another point of that material until I found this broken tip a few miles downriver several years later. But it's the same. You look up close, that is the same multicolored orange chert. Now, we don't find a lot of large points in the river, so this one was a real treat. Found this one back in the summer of 98. Again, on the upper end of the river that's about to go under the new lake. I hunted that end a lot more early on. I kind of moved my hunting focus downstream the last 20 years or so. But, oh, that's a fine, large, I think it may be a whittled down Washita point, because they're normally very large knives. And this one's been extensively resharpened along both blade edges. It was probably even larger when it started out. Now, this is about as good as a Gary point gets right here. I found this in a small tributary of the South Sulphur River many years ago, up near where I pastored in Wolf City. I only got a handful of artifacts out of that creek, but oh my goodness, they were nice. You can see this top row here. Some more varying quality, couple of little Marshalls, several Garys, one Palmillas type point, another real well-made Yarborough. This is a Wilson. It is so heavily ground on the basal edges and across the base. That is a very old point. I thought it was an Edgewood when I found it, but it's much older. This little guy is from another lower down tributary of the North Sulphur near Ben Franklin. That's a really high quality point. And then I just got a few others around here. There's a Cossatot point on the left, and a few others. I love this little Marshall right here with the eyeballs on it. There's a little Fairland. Quite a few other colorful points, and then a couple of bone tools to round out the corner. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed looking at these. Like I said, this is one of my best known frames that you'll see at any show where I set up. All right, I hope you enjoyed looking at those artifacts with me. There's a lot of special memories in that frame. Now, time to close out with a random historical fact. Did you know that the granddaughter of a U.S. president became a Russian princess? Julia Grant Cantacuzene was born Julia Dent Grant in the White House. She was the eldest daughter of President Grant's son, Fred, born in 1876 while her grandfather was still president in the White House. And in 1899, she married a Russian prince named Nikolai Cantacuzene and moved to his estate in Russia. They lived there for the next 18 years. He was an aide-de-camp to the Tsar and ultimately a general during the First World War. She and her husband fled the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917, came to the United States. She wrote 3 books about her time in Russia and her experience in the Russian Revolution, and went on to become a successful published author. She and her husband divorced later on in the 1930s, and she lived until 1975. Died in 1975 at the age of 99. So that is the story of how a U.S. president's granddaughter became a royal princess of Russia and the wife of one of the Tsar's chief military officers during the Great War. All right, hey, thanks for tuning in. Soon as weather and my schedule allows, I'll be back down in the river bringing you some footage. But in the meantime, I'll try to come up with something to bring you every week. Got another artifact show coming up here in a couple of weeks up down in Marshall. I'll see you guys there. And as always, like, share, subscribe, and be sure to check out my books on Amazon if you haven't. All right, have a great week. And for those of you going back to school, have a great school year.